Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is the Delaware County Commissioners Special Meeting. It's Friday, May 8th, 2020. If at any time during this meeting, one of the members of the public have any questions or comments about the content of this meeting, you may email those to the commissioners at co.delaware.in.us. That's commissioners@co.delaware.in.us. John, could you call the roll for the record, please?
Sure. Commissioner Reagan.
Present.
Commissioner King.
Here.
Commissioner Henry.
I'm here. Thank you. I'd like to get an update now from Dr. Wilkins, the Delaware County Health Officer. Dr. Wilkins, could you give us an update on what's going on at the health department, please?
Okay, we have 220 cases as of this afternoon, and it's slowed down a little bit. I don't know if that because they're behind on the results of the testing. I'm not sure why we've got a decline in the number of positive cases this week. Our deaths are still at 20. That's unchanged in the last several days. So we're holding steady right now.
Okay. Has anyone got any questions for Dr. Wilkins?
They're doing testing out at the Armory. It's Optum is a company that's come in to do the testing, and now they have changed the requirements for testing. Now they will do it if you are over 65 and if you're high risk. You do not have to have symptoms, and you don't have to be around someone that has symptoms or has been positive. So they've opened that up a little bit more. And pardon me?
Dr. Wilkins, would you want to tell us what some of the high risks are, please?
So it'd be anybody over 65, anybody that is diabetic, obese, African-American, hypertension, have any other medical problems, kidney disease, lung disease. Those are the high-risk populations.
Thank you.
Dr. Wilkins, is there a charge for that test? Do you guys know?
They said it's free, but if you have insurance, they want you to bring your insurance card. So I asked them, and I haven't gotten an answer from the state. The state set this up. So I asked them, if you haven't met your 2020 deductible, would you have to pay? And I haven't gotten an answer on that.
Okay. And that is at the National Guard Armory, you said, correct?
Yes. And you'd have to sign up. There's a phone number that you can do, and I've got it on Facebook. And there's also a link that you can go in and you answer the questions, and then they will tell you a time to come in and have it done.
Yeah.
Very well. And you said it is on your Facebook page?
Yes.
That's the Delaware County Health Department's Facebook page?
I've got it on my personal, but I can put on the other one too, yes.
Would you mind putting it on yours so we can access that? And maybe Jason, could you get it put on the on your guys's also?
Yeah, we can have Kyle put it on the hub.
Okay. Thank you. Has anyone got any questions for Dr. Wilkins?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wilkins.
Okay.
Jason, can you give us an update?
Sure. We're in the EOC. We're still activated and working every day to source PPE. There are more options coming online, and we are starting to get that information out to the community as a whole. There are churches and doctor's office, dentist's office that have been requesting where they can purchase PPE from. So we're trying to source those things for them and vet that information as we're able to get it. The big news right now is that the public assistance for government and some non-for-profits, they are putting out a webcast training. That is the 12th, and you have two options to register for that, 10 a.m. or I believe 3 p.m. Questions regarding whether you're eligible or not can be submitted to the email address at the state, and that is pa@dhs.in.gov. All of that information is available on the Coronavirus Hub for either non-for-profits or government agencies under either one of those subtitles on the hub, and that's available at dcema.com.
Very good. Does anyone have any questions for Jason?
No. Commissioner Henry, there is the Indiana Economic Development Corporation does have a website for getting small businesses to get PPE. I'm trying to find it. I just had it up a second ago. And you can order it through the IEDC. It's a very simple process. I ordered some equipment for my office. And
Mr. Brook, if you can forward me that information, I will have that uploaded to the hub and make that readily available to the public on several of the different layers of the website.
Okay, I will do that. I'll forward that on to you.
The other thing I didn't mention, Commissioners, is yesterday the FEMA allocation of personal protective equipment came in for the public safety sector, and it was rather disappointing. The county as a whole received 195 masks and about 3,000 procedure masks, and I think it was 1,000 gloves. Essentially, each department got a gallon of hand sanitizer, 6 N95 masks, I think 100 or so, 80 some procedural masks, and 32 pairs of medical grade gloves. Because we had to divide it between all 18 departments. That did not include EMS departments or anybody other than first responders, police and fire. So they had indicated that the EMS departments and medical staff would be receiving HHS allotments, and that is all done through a different website other than the FEMA portal that we're using. So that information, I believe all but one department has picked theirs up, and that's it.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for all that, Jason, and that'll help the emergency services for sure. So we appreciate you guys taking care of all that. Let's talk about I think Jamie's trying to get on right now, but let's go ahead and we'll talk about the extension of the declaration. John, I hate to do this to you, but could you read 1 through 11?
Let me see if I can let me find this for you. No, that's not what I want. Where is that thing? One through 11, okay. A local disaster continues to exist in the county. Let me see if I can share that too. So, there it is. Local disaster continues to exist in the county, and that we hereby invoke and declare those portions of the Indiana Code which are applicable to the conditions and have caused the issuance of this proclamation to be in full force and effect in the entire county, including incorporated areas for the exercise of all necessary emergency authority for the protection of the lives and property of the people of this county and the restoration of local government with a minimum of interruption. This emergency order is effective immediately and shall be in place until the end of business May 18, 2020. The Board of Commissioners adopt the Governor's Executive Order 20-26 in whole as part of their emergency declaration and plan to return to get back on track. 3, the county government shall continue to operate, but commencing on May 11, 2020, the elected officials and department heads shall commence operation pursuant to the office holder's plan for scheduling and operations. Members of the public shall contact the office and make an appointment with the office before entering the county building and justice center. All employees and members of the public that will meet in person shall maintain a social distance of at least 6 feet between individuals at all times and shall be required to wear a face mask or other covering which covers the person's mouth and nose during their business in the county building. All county employees shall be required to wear a mask or face covering their nose and mouth when interacting with the public and when not at their desk. Number 4, commencing on May 11, 2020, there shall be a limit of the number of members of the public that shall be permitted to access the county building or justice center. No more than 25 members of the public per floor may be allowed to enter the county building and occupy the building at any time. There shall be a limit of 25 people allowed in the justice center to conduct business, excluding staff, lawyers, and litigants. Those members of the public that exceed the limit in either the justice center or the county building will be required to wait outside the building following proper social distancing requirements of at least 6 feet intervals. Number 5, the governor's executive order 2025 is incorporated by reference and made a part of this emergency declaration. Number 6, in instances where an individual must visit a retail business, the business shall follow the proper social distancing requirements in Executive Order 20-26 and the guidelines from the Center for Disease Control. All individuals are encouraged to wear masks when going out to essential businesses, grocery stores, or outside their residence for any essential purpose. This emergency declaration shall supersede and replace all prior emergency declarations made by the Board of Commissioners prior to this emergency order. The Commissioners determined that all government operations are essential as the government operations from March 23rd, 2020 to the present, and all essential government functions are operating available to the public through remote or electronic access as needed. Violations of this order will be turned over to the governor's enforcement response team.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
As set forth in Executive Order 20-26 for investigation and enforcement. This emergency order shall remain valid for a period of, I should say, 11 days from the date of this emergency order, adopted by the Board of Commissioners. I'll make that change.
Okay, thank you, John. Just to go over a couple things. I've been up at the county building a couple times. Jason and Kyle Johnson and John Contino have done an outstanding job putting down stickers and sticker and everything, and they have the elevator stickered, only allowing 2 inside the elevator at a time. They've done a great job up there. Charlie and his group have done an outstanding job as well. So thanks to those guys, and the county building really does look pretty decent, and I believe we're ready to get the public in there by appointment. And I know in the order it talks about no more than 25 members per floor. I think, Tony, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I think Tony's people could actually, the security guys at the doors should be able to kind of monitor that by count. Tony, you think they could do that okay?
They'll be able to do it easily in the Justice Center. It might be a little more difficult in the county building because of floors 2 and 3, but we'll talk to them on Monday morning and come up with a strategy.
Okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
As we stated in the order, when I have been in the building, there has been employees moving around without face mask. I think it's important, and it is stated in this order that the employees must wear masks when they're moving around inside the building. And the only time they can have it off is while they're at their desk, unless there's a member of the public inside their office. So that's part of this order. I wanted to make that clear. Does anyone have any questions about the order?
No. Even sitting at their desk, I mean, we're hearing today what's happening in Washington at the White House, and it's just about the same type of a situation. You think you're safe, you're around friends, but you do not know who's the carrier.
And I don't disagree with you, but, you know, prior to all this, we've asked the department heads and elected officials to keep their employees 6 feet apart in their offices. So I think, I mean, I personally think it would be sufficient as long as they're at least 6 feet apart. If an employee comes up to your desk, then they ought to be wearing masks. So, I mean, any employee interaction or public and employee interaction, people should have masks on.
The other day I was doing some errands and I just found it was easier just to leave it on even in my own car, to take it off, put it on. But they can just be careful. That's all I can say.
Jamie, come on. He was tied up and he just got on. So Jamie, you want to give us an update from you?
Yeah,
Dr.
not sure what Jason or Donna would have already provided for you regarding statistics, but one promising detail I want to make sure the commissioners were aware of is that number of 3 currently hospitalized from our total COVID cases from Delaware County. There was a lot of pushback initially. People were concerned with the governor's game plan to use hospitalizations as one of his criteria that they would judge the reopening process by. I think it's a good criteria to use, and that number of 3 here locally is really promising for us, that we don't really see a huge number here to start, and that our hospital has done a good job being able to take care of and keep up with the cases that they have seen, which I think 50 of our cases were hospitalized.
That is good. And we certainly appreciate all the healthcare workers and the job they're doing. So that is very good news. Does anyone have any questions for Jamie?
No.
No.
Okay, let's get back to the declaration. What is your pleasure with the declaration?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the declaration and a second. John, could you call the roll, please?
Sure. Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Riggin,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes. Okay, thank you, John. We'll go down now to the agreement between Delaware County EMS and St. Vincent's Anderson. Jason? Jason, can you hear me?
Okay, how about now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yes. Sir.
Okay, sorry. This is an agreement between St. Vincent's Ascension and Delaware County for medical direction and oversight for Delaware County EMS.
Does anyone
Jason, St. Vincent's, they're not charging us, correct?
No, this is 100% free. They do not charge any of their EMS services for medical direction, and they have multiple counties across Indiana that they provide medical direction for.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? What's the pleasure of the commissioners?
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the agreement between Delaware County EMS and St. Vincent's and a second. John, could you call the roll, please?
Sure. Commissioner Riggin,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes. Very well, thank you. Next on the agenda is the resolution 2020-010, resolution creating a voluntary county furlough program. Scott, you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, I appreciate, I know Shannon, we met Monday and kind of briefed you guys on this. Just a little background is actually Ed Carroll, the county treasurer, had brought it to our attention that Henry County had adopted a similar type voluntary furlough program. We'd been, or we had actually talked to one of the representatives from Henry County to get an idea. And they had expected 30 that might take advantage of the program, and they actually had more than that. I was trying to get a exact number on where they're at and wasn't able to get that by 3 o'clock today as far as the number that they put on there. But it's not it's not something that's going to be a fix, but it might help us get through there, depending on how receptive the employees and the elected officials and would be as far as trying to make this work. Like I said, we met with Shannon and have worked through this the whole week. And thanks, John, for all you've done and also being patient as we got a lot of input on this to get it to this point. So, anything else?
Well, the purpose of the furlough program obviously is, and with the model that we looked at, if we would have 30 employees go on a voluntary furlough, that would save the county approximately $200,000. Wasn't that the figure, Scott?
That was what it was for Henry County. I would expect we would be close to that. Or now, Ed, today we actually had a meeting earlier today and threw out some numbers. We think that'll be close, but until you know exactly what those figures are as far as employee compensation and stuff like that, that's a good number to toss out there, I guess, at this point.
Okay, thank you, Scott. John, could you hit the highlights of this as far as what is required and kind of how the program would work?
Sure. I shared it on the screen while you guys have been talking about it. This is a voluntary COVID-19 furlough program. The commissioners will send a copy of this to all department heads and elected officials. They will talk with their staff, seek volunteers that wish to be furloughed. The department heads and elected officials will determine which employees would be furloughed, send those to the commissioners. The commissioners would work with Pam McCammon at HR to determine seniority rights for the people to be furloughed. Then the commissioners would furlough those employees starting May 14th for 12 weeks until August 5th. The employees, once they're furloughed, would become immediately eligible for unemployment. They would sign up for unemployment compensation and receive it. The unemployment people said it takes about 2-3 weeks for it to get the first check. They would be on furlough for that period of time. They would be, they could make an option as to whether they wanted to come back one day a month in different pay periods to keep their PERF in place and not lose 1/8 of 1 year of PERF. All their other benefits would continue or remain. The county would pay their health insurance. They pay their own cost of the health insurance while they're furloughed. They would continue, all their comp time, vacation time would be frozen. And anybody that's on a leave right now is ineligible. And then at the end of the furlough period, the commissioners will notify each of the employees of the furlough ending and to return to work. Anybody that doesn't return to work would be terminated just like a layoff. That's basically what this resolution says.
Okay.
John? Excuse me. Back in the old days, they would have to stick around town. Now, are they free to travel?
Well, first of all, there's no place to go.
Well, I've some people going places, but go ahead.
They still have to qualify and meet all the requirements for the workforce development. They have to log in. They've got to do all that. But it's a little more relaxed now than it was because of the COVID-19.
Thank you.
Well, I think we've all been working on this since last Monday. Has anyone got any questions?
I don't.
No,
I'll make a
it's
motion to approve it.
second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve Resolution 2020-010. That's creating the voluntary county furlough program, and we have a second. John, could you call the roll, please?
Sure. Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Reagan,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
And commissioners, if there's anyone after this meeting that has any questions, they can call the Human Resource Office and we'll be glad to help them with any of their questions. John's made this resolution pretty self-explanatory, but if they have any questions, we're there to help them.
Thanks.
Very
Thanks
good.
for working on this, Pam.
Uh-huh. I couldn't have done it by
Hey,
myself. My office is tough. It's good. We're
Shannon?
good.
Yes.
Is it, is it your understanding that it's kind of up to the department heads as far as whether or not an employee can qualify
Yes.
for this, or is that your decision? Okay.
I don't want to, I think we got to rely on the department heads and elected officials because I would hate to, they know their offices, I guess, better than we do. So I would hate to shorten an office. I mean, does the other commissioners agree?
No, I agree.
Okay, Scott?
Yep.
Okay. Does anyone have anything else?
Yeah, there is another resolution, Resolution 2020-09. This is about continuity of services and employees to work. Since you're on a staggered schedule, we needed to make an amendment to the previous resolution about paying employees for work at home time and on-call time. And so Resolution 2020-09 does that. It works in conjunction with the furlough program, but it also talks about a staggered work time.
So due to the fact that we do have some large offices and the highway department, some of those offices and some of the departments are still staggering employees. So that's kind of the reason for this.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the ordinance and a second. John, can you call roll?
Sure. Commissioner Reagan,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes. Okay, just one other thing. I had a citizen email just wanting us to remind people that we do have the property tax box out in front of the county building for people to drop their tax payments off. Also, some of the banks are also taking tax payments, remember. And then also, correct me if I'm wrong, the state's waived penalties through July if some people are laid off and unable to pay their taxes. I believe that's correct, isn't it, John?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make that statement. We had, like I said, we had a citizen email about that.
Hey, Shannon, I think on the July date, I think the July date is July the 10th is the last day before they would start paying penalties.
Is it July 10th?
That's what I've been told by the treasurer's office there. I think
Yeah,
it's
it is.
taxes that were sent out, the statements say that the due date is May the 11th, but there is no, so they're actually due May 11th, but if you don't pay them May 11th, then you have until July 10th, a grace period to not have to pay the late fees.
Okay.
And Ed Carroll was able to actually have the governor or talk to the governor about changing the executive order to include the additional assessments, the special assessments like ditch fees, so that they wouldn't have to go back and try and figure out what any penalties are. So my understanding is it includes the tax payment itself, but also the special assessments would be, they wouldn't be subject to a late fee until after July the 10th, if that remains in place.
Good. Okay, thank you for that, Scott. Has anyone else got anything? Do I have a motion for recess?
So move.
Oh,
Second.
but just before you vote, just a reminder, there will be your meeting on the 18th. We'll start at 9 o'clock on the 18th. It'll be via this platform, the Zoom platform once again, because the emergency remains in effect with the governor until at least June 4th.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John. Could I have a roll call on recess, please?
Sure. Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Reagan,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.